Hello, hello. And in tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the confidence gap. That's the space between our abilities and how confident we feel about those abilities. For those that don't know me, I'm Claire. I'm a multi-business owner and founder of the Good Vibes Collective. I've been in network marketing and community and team building for 20 years. I'm also a beauty and lifestyle mentor as well and a wellness advocate. So check out my Facebook profile for more information about any of that. And just before we get started, I just want to apologise in advance if I'm doing a bit of sniffing. My hay fever is really playing up today. So it's not a cold, it is unfortunately the dreaded hay fever. So we briefly looked at confidence in previous episodes, and as a little bit of a reminder, I want to first look at what confidence is and isn't. So it isn't something that you're born with or without. It's not the loudest person in the room, and it's not never being nervous or feeling any fear. Confidence is a skill and anybody can develop it. It's self-belief and trust in yourself and your abilities. It can be built upon, and it's normal to vary in confidence levels. Even the person that you think of as the most confident person you know will have periods where they're not feeling confident, but perhaps they just don't show it, so you don't realise. The confidence gap is the space between how capable we actually are and how confident we feel in those abilities. So put in simple terms, it's the difference between what we can do and what we believe we can do. This shows up everywhere. In the workplace, you might avoid applying for a new job or a promotion. In education, you may have been not wanting to raise your hand even though you knew the answer to the question. And in your personal life, you might avoid new experiences because you think you're not ready. You might have all of the skills and the knowledge to take on a new role or launch a new business or speak up in a meeting or conversation or start something new. But if your confidence doesn't match your competence, you may hesitate, you may hold back, you may talk yourself out of even trying something. Psychologists have actually studied this quite a lot, and one of the biggest findings is that people who project confidence are often more likely to be trusted, promoted, and seen as leaders, even if their competence is no stronger than anyone else's. That means that many talented and very capable people are underestimated simply because of the confidence levels that they portray. It's important to remember that the confidence gap isn't about lacking ability. It's about the story that we tell ourselves about what we can or can't do. So as you know by now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the science and the theories behind things. So the science and theories behind the confidence gap, once you understand what's going on in your brain, it's easier to realise it's not me being broken, it's just how humans are wired. So we've seen this picture a number of times, and we're going to talk about the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex again. So the amygdala is the part of the brain, its job is to keep you safe, and it doesn't like discomfort. It's like an alarm system that screams danger, don't do it, you might mess it up, you might embarrass yourself. And then your prefrontal cortex is responsible for the logic and reasoning, and it'll say, hang on, you've prepared for this, you've done it before, you'll be fine. But the problem is, when we're stressed or we're anxious, the amygdala can shout a little bit louder and drown out the calm, logical voice of the prefrontal cortex. That's why even when we know that we're capable, fear and doubt can still take over. Our brains are wired to keep us safe. This was more important for our ancestors. So thousands of years ago, if you didn't remember that one time that you ate a berry and it made you poorly, you might not survive the next time that you eat that same berry because you haven't remembered about it. Your brain notices, remembers, and reacts more strongly to negative experiences than positive ones. That's why one piece of criticism can hit you harder than 10 compliments. It's why one failed attempt will linger longer than 5 wins. We focus on risks instead of rewards, and our brain has evolved into a form of Velcro for those negative experiences. And that constant focus on risk and failure can eat away at our confidence. And then we've got imposter syndrome, and this is where self-doubt really lives. It's that little voice in your head that's saying, who am I to be doing this? Or any minute now, someone's going to realise I'm not capable as I think I am. And studies show that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point. And it often happens to high achievers, people who are actually very competent. It's not that you're not good enough, it's your brain tricking you into thinking that you're not. And a really interesting one, Hewlett Packard did a study, and when they were looking at job applications, men would apply if they met 60% of the requirements. Women, on the other hand, tended to wait until they felt that they met 100%. And it's not about their ability, it's about confidence. So men often take a leap sooner, whereas women can hold themselves back until they feel like it's absolutely the perfect time. And as a result, opportunities can be missed. Again, something that we've mentioned in previous sessions is the fixed versus growth mindset. Growth mindset is the belief that your abilities, your intelligence, your talents, your skills can be developed through effort and learning, and that you're willing to grow. If you see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than proof of failure, you're much more likely to keep on trying. And each attempt will build your competence, which then builds your confidence. So, for example, imagine that you mess up your first attempt at public speaking. And a fixed mindset would say, see, terrible at this, I'll never be any good. A growth mindset would say, okay, that didn't quite go to plan, but I've learned something and next time I'll improve on it. And that tiny shift in mindset keeps that confidence loop alive. Then we've got Yerkes-Dodson law. This is something that I've not mentioned previously. This is about the relationship between stress and anxiety and performance. So you can see here on the left-hand side, zero stress or nerves or little stress. Your performance there is really flat because you don't really care enough. You're too laid back. In the middle, you've got just the right amount of stress or nerves for peak performance. But if you tip over into too much stress or anxiety, that can take over and your performance can drop. A little bit of nerves before an interview or a presentation or public speaking can actually sharpen you up. But if those nerves spiral into panic, suddenly your mind goes blank and your confidence crashes. We need to learn to see nerves as helpful and a sign that the body is gearing up rather than proof that you're not ready for something. And self-efficacy. It's believing in your abilities to succeed at specific tasks. So if you believe you can do something, you're more likely to try it, more likely to stick with it when it gets tough, and ultimately more likely to succeed. If you believe you can't, then you're more likely to give up before you even begin. When we put these theories together, the growth mindset, the Yerkes-Dodson, and the self-efficacy, you start to see a pattern. Confidence isn't about being fearless or never doubting yourself. It's how you interpret challenges, how you manage your nerves, and how strongly you believe in your ability to figure things out. There are a number of things in everyday life that can make the confidence gap even wider. And if we don't recognise them, they can quickly and quietly chip away at us. One is perfectionism. We can set the bar so unrealistically high that it's impossible to reach. So when we can't hit that perfect, we see it as a failure, which kills confidence. We've also got comparison culture as well. And we live in a world that we're constantly scrolling through our social media and the highlights of other people's lives. So we compare our behind the scenes to somebody else's best moments because they're the only moments that they often show on social media. You may have looked at somebody's social media feed and thought, wow, she's so confident, she's got it all together. Why can't I be like that? We're then comparing our whole messy, beautiful real life with a curated snapshot, the things that people want to show you. That then keeps us stuck in self-doubt instead of celebrating our own journey. The next one's a biggie. It's fear of failure or fear of judgment. Most of the time, it's not the actual failure itself that we're afraid of. It's how people will see us if we fail. So what if I embarrass myself? What if people think I'm not good enough? What if I try and I flop? The truth is, failure isn't proof that you're not capable. Failure is feedback. Failure is part of the learning loop. People who look the most confident aren't ones who never fail. It's just ones who failed and kept going. And finally, we've got past experiences or conditioning. Confidence can be shaped early by the things that we're told. So maybe somebody once said to you, you're not clever enough, or you're not cut out for that. Even if it happened years ago, those words can stick and echo in the back of your mind. Sometimes it's not even what was said directly. It's what we took from that comment or conversation. If you were constantly encouraged, you would probably find it easier to back yourself. If you're constantly criticised, confidence can feel harder to master. The key is remembering old messages don't define you. It's not the truth of who you are today. All of these things widen the gap between our actual abilities and our confidence in those abilities. But the good news is, once you start spotting them, you can actually challenge them. So the big question now is, how do we close the confidence gap? How do we actually build confidence so that it matches our abilities? So I'm going to let you into a little secret here. Confidence doesn't come before an action. It comes because of an action. The more we take action, the more competent we become. And as that competence grows, our confidence grows alongside it. That confidence then gives us the courage to take even more action, which makes us even more competent. It's like a positive spiral going upwards. Think about the first time that you did something. So the first time you drove a car, the first time you cooked a complicated recipe. At first, your competence was low because you'd not practiced it yet. So naturally, your confidence is also low. But the more you did it, the more your skill improved and you felt more confident. And now it might be something that feels like second nature to you. So we build competence by doing, and confidence is a byproduct of that action. So here's a personal example from me. These episodes. So when I did my very first one 10 weeks ago now, I was absolutely not confident at all. What if nobody shows up? What if the content's rubbish? What if I mess it up? What if I say the wrong words? Why would anybody want to watch it anyway? Now we're on session 11 and I don't feel the same way. Don't get me wrong, I still get wobbles every week, but my confidence has grown because of the action that I've taken by hosting an episode every single week. I've made changes to the way that I do the sessions. I've improved the sessions. I've changed the slides, tweaked the content because my competence is growing. I think I've stopped saying and quite as much as I used to. And that's because my confidence is growing too. And that's because my competence is growing. It's absolutely a knock-on effect. The confidence competence loop is definitely a real thing. One of the biggest tips here is to reframe failure. Most of us have been taught that failure is something to avoid at all costs. But it's actually evidence that you're stretching yourself, evidence that you're trying. When you fail, you're not proving that you're not good enough. You're gathering data and you're learning what works and what doesn't. The people who look the most confident aren't the ones who never fall flat. They're not the ones who never fail at anything. They're the ones that have fallen flat, pick themselves up and realise, actually, I survived that. I can keep going. I can do it again. And every time you do that, that confidence gap gets a little bit smaller. Now we're going to talk a little bit about micro wins. So we often hold out for big successes. It could be a promotion, it could be a finished project, or a milestone weight loss. But confidence grows in the small steps along the way. So it could be that you've completed a course that gets you closer to that promotion. It could be you've completed a portion of that project. It could be that you've lost a pound this week, but it's getting you closer to that milestone weight loss goal. So each night, take some time to think about a small win of the day. Did you make any progress with something? Did you try something new, even if it was uncomfortable? These are all wins. Take note of them and celebrate them. Any tasks you've accomplished, compliments you've received, moments that you were proud of in the day. This will force your brain to notice the positives. And remember that negativity bias that I spoke about earlier? Your brain is naturally tuned to remember the one mistake rather than the 10 things that you did right. So you've got to flip that script. And this is a way to do it by celebrating those small wins every day and training your brain to look for the positives. The next one is to watch your self-talk and your body language. If you're constantly telling yourself, I'm no good at this, or I'll never get it right, your brain will start to believe you. But if you shift that language into something like I'm learning or I'm improving, then you're giving yourself room to grow instead of shutting yourself down. You're literally rewiring your brain to support you instead of sabotaging. Body language is important too. Stand tall, shoulders back, head up, even if you don't feel it. There's research that has shown that this little change in body language doesn't just influence how other people see us, it actually influences how we feel as well. So be mindful of it. And finally, another one is who you surround yourself with. Confidence is contagious. When you're around people who believe in you, who encourage you and reflect back your strengths, it's so much easier to start believing in yourself too. On the flip side, if you're always in spaces where you're criticised or compared, that gap will widen. So sometimes closing the gap is as much about choosing your environment as it is about working on yourself. If you're only confident when you get everything right, it's shaky ground. But be kind to yourself and find people around you who can be kind and cheer you on too. So we've got some key takeaways from the session. Confidence is a skill that you can develop. It's not something that you're born with or born without. It's something that you can build over time. The difference between our abilities and our belief in our abilities is the confidence gap. It isn't about what we can do, it's what we think we can do. Our brains are wired to keep us safe. The little voice of doubt is really your brain trying to protect you. And confidence isn't about never being scared or anxious. It's about feeling the fear but moving forward anyway. A little bit of stress can be useful. That small push of pressure can actually sharpen our focus and help us to grow too. We need to recognise the things that can widen our confidence gap. Awareness is the first step to closing that gap and decreasing the gap between confidence and your doubt. So recognise those little signs. Confidence usually comes as a result of action. You don't wait to feel confident before acting. Act and the confidence will follow. Failure is success in progress. So every setback is just a stepping stone towards getting it right. Celebrate the micro wins. Those little victories add up and remind you that you are moving forward. So don't just wait for those big moments. Be aware of your self-talk. The way you speak to yourself shapes the way that you show up. And confidence is contagious. When you show it, others around you feel it too, and vice versa. So be aware of who you surround yourself with. Your skills are already there. It's time to let your confidence catch up. So as we've seen in this session, the confidence gap isn't about not having the skills, the knowledge, or the ability. Most of the time, those things are already there. What holds us back is the belief that we're not ready, not capable, not good enough. But the truth is, you don't need to become a completely different person to feel confident. You just need to let your confidence rise to meet the abilities that you already have. Next week, we're going to be talking about problem solving like a pro. So basically, it's how to deal with those moments when life throws you a curveball and you're sat there thinking, okay, now what do I do? We're going to talk about why some problems feel way bigger than they are, some traps that we can fall into when we're trying to fix things, and some practical ways to step back, break it down, and actually find a way forward. It's not just about work or business, it's about everyday life too. Whether it's a tricky situation with a customer, a bump in the road in your personal life, or just one of those, oh God, everything's going wrong days. These tools will help you handle it without a stress spiral. So join me again next week, same time, same place on Zoom. And if you can't make it live, don't worry, you can always catch up on YouTube afterwards. As always, any questions, my email address, my Facebook profile, my Facebook page are all there. And we've also got the website too. So don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop me a like and comment on there. And if you haven't already, then head over to that website and grab your free ebook, Mastering Your Mindset and Unlocking Your Confidence. And the last thing to say is thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions about anything that I've covered, feel free to reach out on that email address or via Facebook. Thanks all so much. See you again soon. Bye-bye.